being a former sub guy, The Hunt for Red October is just a fantastic. There's a lot of physical inaccuracies on how a sub operates, but the jargon and the
is that like your
is,
Roadhouse for like if you were a bouncer, like they all sit around watching Roadhouse?
No.
Like, so I just imagine you like kind of a mix between like a Top Gun after volleyball game. All of you guys are like in your boxers wearing your dog tags in the submarine, and you guys are just sitting like in the mess hall or whatever, like kind of like lightly sweaty watching Hunt for Red October. It's like that and Crimson Tide, and you're just like,
I was just gonna say Crimson Tide. I was like, nah, it's
U571 and like Das Boot. You're like, oh god, yeah. Men.
We're kind of just sitting there with our arms around each other, just kind of like you said, lightly sweating.
Hello, I'm Jay.
And I'm Matt.
And this is, until we can think of a better name, a cast with no name, where we talk about movies, TV, streaming, just like 70% of the other podcasts out there.
At least 70.
At least 70. Probably more like 85.
Maybe 90.
94. All right. This is our first episode if you're joining us. Sorry for the haphazard delivery or the stream of conscious format, but this will probably change 15 times before we settle on a format or content that we'd like to do regularly. But I guess since this is the first episode and you are meeting us for the first time, we'll give you guys a bit of background on us. Matt, do you want to go first?
Sure. Let's go first. So I am a Navy man, formerly Navy. But before then I went to Purdue, majored in kinesiology, which of course makes total sense because I don't do anything kinesiology related anymore. Went to the Navy. I was in subs. So I was a submarine officer.
A seaman.
For the layman's out there. Yes, I was a seaman. Got out of the military, moved to Connecticut where I was a quality manager for a circuit board manufacturer.
Awesome. Circuit boards, you say?
Yes. And now I'm a project manager. Moved back home. So that's me in a nutshell, and that's pretty boring. But back to movies. I've been a longtime fan of movies. My earliest and fondest memories are walking from my house across the street, Major Street, to the local grocery store. To incentivize people going to the grocery store, they would have, movie rentals. If you don't remember, if you didn't rent your local Blockbuster or video chain, and they would sell them for 49 cents. So that's where I spent a majority of my time when I went to the grocery store with my mom, was just, 1 to 2 hours trying to find that perfect movie. And I think we've all been there. If you like movies, where you just rummage everywhere and you end up renting the same thing that you've watched probably 10 times.
Absolutely.
That's how that happens. So I love movies, and my sister Christy married this guy named Jay, and we've, known each other now for over a decade, I think. Yeah,
a little over 10 years.
And we've had, I don't know how many conversations about movies.
At least 3.
We nerd out.
Yeah. I mean, it gets deep.
We go hard in the paint when it comes to talking movies.
And the party has just begun when everyone's having a great time and we're just sitting in the corner talking about movies.
How many times do you remember talking movies and then just the crowd just congregates?
Yeah, you guys know what dance-offs are, to where you feel this energy and everyone just kind of circles around 2 people. That literally never happens when we're at a party.
It's just happy coincidence that my brother-in-law enjoys movies as much as I do, because I didn't think that anybody I knew did, and came out of the closet.
No one likes movies. I mean, we're the only ones. We found each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but I can talk, talking about movies longer than 10 minutes. I think this is because after you get to that 10-minute mark, it's just kind of like,
yeah.
You get to the nerd out details and no one's really interested in talking about that.
Yep. So. Nope. I got you. Yeah. Because you'll start referencing cinematographers or directors, and then people are like, oh, I don't care about that much. I just thought it was good. And then they walk away. And
did you see the special effects? That's what you get a lot.
Well, I thought the effects were good.
I mean, the Transformers are just amazing, right?
It's so good.
It's so good. Oh, Michael Bay, please.
So good.
One more slow-mo shot.
So, yep. And I am Jay. I grew up watching movies as well. I am not a Navy man.
Wait, so you're not a seaman?
I am not a seaman, but I can be a
Disappointing.
dick.
Which is what you need.
Yes. So we fit together like a puzzle piece. But no, I went to college. I majored in video production, which, if you're wondering about the future of that major, boys and girls, just think of.
Wait a second. Those people are super successful. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was in a class with about 30 other people every day that all thought they were going to be the next Spielberg. And we all just met ourselves into the middle of mediocrity. So I majored in video production. Best decision of my life. My parents were super proud. And I am currently a marketing manager at a machinery company.
Ooh.
So yeah, very exciting. But loved movies growing up. I think the first movie I actually talked about this with my parents a couple of weeks ago when I brought up that we were doing this podcast, because I was curious. I was like, oh, I wonder what the first movie I saw in theater was. The first one I remember is The Last Crusade. And the only thing I really remember of it is the part right before he drinks out of the wrong chalice. The Nazi war general drinks out of the wrong chalice, and then he ages.
Right.
But I remember that because my mother covering my eyes during that portion. Yeah, and I might have gone to a theater movie before that, but that's the first one that I really remember.
I remember the first movie I remember watching in theater was, I begged my mom, I believe this is first grade, it might have been kindergarten, to go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. And I'm blanking on the subtitle. It was like Turtles in Time or something. Anyway, they go back in time to Japanese 18th century.
Yep.
To fight, I don't know, some war. Anyway, I do remember that. And my mom just, it's like pulling nails. Like, Mom, please, I got it. And anyway, so I faked being sick at school, and she took me to go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. I think we're the only people in the theater, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, you were the two that saw it in theaters.
That's right. We were.
Awesome.
The $10 box office receipts. Actually, no, it was probably more like $4. It was $2 for a ticket back in those days. Yeah.
So awesome. Well, so that's a little bit about us. I mean, I guess at least from my side of things, I will try to be as unbiased as possible when we talk about movies. I am very opinionated. And like anything, everything is subjective to or objective. Which one's which? The fuck's which?
I don't think it matters. I think subjective, I understand what you're talking about. And when you say objective.
Okay, objective is okay.
I get the
subjective is my opinion. Anyways, so I'll try and do this from an objective point of view. However, like anything, art is extremely subjective and in the eye of the beholder and all that good stuff. And when I do become opinionated, I will be the first to say that, yes, movies take a lot of hard work and a lot of effort from a lot of people. But it is a business, and people who run those businesses are sometimes idiots. Right. And sometimes movies just shouldn't be made.
Absolutely. And we can go through that on a lot of stuff that we talk about.
Yes.
Where specific scenes, plot points, characters, were those studio notes, or was that part of the,
collective process of crap decision making made together kind of a thing.
Right.
But and not to say that, we can make a better film, because like any other critic, well, I mean, like most critics, we haven't really made anything. I've made some short videos, and I know how hard it can be, and I can't imagine how hard it is making a movie. But at the same time,
it's going to be crazy hard.
Yeah.
I mean, even in our own day jobs, how hard is it to, wrangle, 20 people together at a meeting and get you all on the same page? So imagine getting a whole crew on the same page for, limited time and limited budget, and
with millions of dollars on the line and stuff like that. Unless you're Netflix and each movie gets made for $20,000, but
or you give Scorsese $300 million and tell him to do whatever he wants.
Yeah. But that's where I'll be coming from it. As far as like my outlook, and the reviews that I give, some I'll just be biased. I'll try to be unbiased, but there's a weird effect. The name escapes me right now, but as you get exposed to something more and more, you tend to like it more. So that's why a lot of people, when they grow up, they see something in their childhood, they tend to like it a lot more and give it a lot more praise and look through it through rose tinted glasses than what it actually is.
Right. And that's your argument for Shawshank Redemption, which we could talk about in future podcasts.
Yes. The most overrated movie ever. Well, not the most overrated movie, but
I understand where you're coming from. See, and that's going to be something that we talk about, stuff like that. I don't have that viewpoint, but that's what this is for.
Yeah.
Get in the weeds of that stuff, which is
kill
fun.
our boredom, talk about something, and just make something productive somewhat.
Exactly.
And hopefully be entertaining at some point.
Yeah. And I enjoy talking about movies because I think that, as you have conversations about it, like you said, it is an art, and there's so many different interpretations that one can have. And when you do flesh out ideas with other people that like movies, that maybe the second time or the third time or the next time you view it, you might like it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, because when you converse with somebody and have either a healthy debate or just talk about something in general, it might open up your eyes, or someone will bring something to your attention that you just completely overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
And which is nice when two people can have a conversation like that and then discover something new and just grow as a person in general and all that crap. So
right.
It just makes it a lot more enjoyable on rewatches.
Yep.
And
it's why movies are so enjoyable and universal. You can project whatever you feel like the movie, what it says to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like it.
Good point.
Yeah. So what you want to get into, Jay?
Well, let's first, I mean, today we're going to be talking about our top 5 movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the Batman, which came out a couple of weeks. We saw it a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
So we've only seen it once.
Yep.
So
might be a little fuzzy.
Yeah, a little fuzzy, but we've had our initial viewing. We've chewed on it for a while. I have not watched any other reviews for the Batman.
I have watched a couple reviews, so I'm going to try not to make the same points that those guys did.
Yeah, and and that's the reason why I didn't want to have whatever I contributed be affected by that.
Sure.
So,
and yes, there were some similarities that I shared some of the same viewpoints, but when we talk about today, I'll try to go in a different route.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Top 5 movies.
Ooh.
Before you start.
Yes.
Do you just want to list your top 5 and we talk about them, or you want to go back and forth?
Let's go back and forth.
Okay.
I like that.
All right, let's go back and forth.
And we were totally trying to understand, like, what kind of top 5. We were in the top 5 all time, top 5. I didn't really want to do all time because it's the typical top 5 you always hear. Like, you're gonna have Godfather and Goodfellas and all the classics. I tailored my top 5 to the top 5 movies that I sort of grew up with that are rewatchable that I could watch right now, and I'd give you my reason why. And I tried to space it out by genre. I didn't want to, because I could name obviously 5 of my favorite like comedies or dramas or action, whatever. Sure. So anyway, that was my thought process.
The way you went about it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is I kind of looked at it similar to where I looked at my movie library and I was trying to think, okay, if I came across it on television or if I had to watch a movie, could I pop it in and watch the whole thing and be entertained?
Sure.
So that's the way I went about it. They're not the top 5, they're not the top 5 movies that I think are the best ever made.
Yeah.
It's just my personal favorite. And we decided to do this for our first podcast. So that way you guys could understand where we're coming from. As far as like what kind of movies we watch, what kind of movies we like, and we gravitate to.
Yep.
We are not, I don't think we're movie snobs by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, you'll see from the list that I'm by far from a movie snob.
So it's not going to be like Amelie and 400 Blows and shit like that.
8.5.
Yeah.
Yes. 8.5 is one of my favorites.
Oh, Requiem for a Dream. That's just my feel good.
I can't wait to watch. Let's pop that in, baby. Let's watch Requiem for a Dream.
So even though they are good movies, they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we're letting you know what our favorite ones are, like what we enjoy and what we can watch over and over.
Right. Obviously, like Schindler's List is one of the best movies ever made.
I've never seen it. I'm a huge movie buff. I've never seen Schindler's List.
Wow. I wasn't expecting this. Well, you know, I've seen Schindler's List maybe 3 times, but it's something that you have to space that experience out. You can't, because the second you watch it, you're just like,
yeah, it's not like when you were 11 or 12, you rent, like I remember I rented Friday when it came out on video.
The comedy?
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah, Ice Cube and
yes, fantastic.
It came out, I think I was, oh God, whenever that movie came out.
It was like 95.
95?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was about 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about 12 and rented that. But I remember at that age, I would rent a movie, watch it that night.
Yeah.
Wake up, immediately watch it again before we had to return it the next day.
Who didn't do that?
Yeah, exactly.
We all did that.
So it's not one of those movies. Like Schindler's List
Absolutely
is not
not.
Okay.
No. You feel like a different person after you watch it. It's crazy.
And I understand what Schindler's List is.
Sure.
It's not that I'm completely oblivious to where.
Right.
Oh, what?
Right. Well, the point I was making was obviously that's one of the greatest movies ever made, hands down. It's fantastic, but you can't rewatch it like right back to back. You need some time.
Yeah. It's emotionally.
Yes.
It's being involved emotionally, and you can't. It's not good popcorn.
No, definitely
stuff.
not.
So
yeah.
Got you. So, but yeah, that's where I'm coming from on my list is something I can rewatch, something that I know I'll enjoy. I just put it on anytime.
Right.
And I'm good. And honestly, this will probably change 3 years from now.
Absolutely.
I mean, because this
tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep. And
it goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, it's art.
Yeah.
It changes from day to day, year to year.
And as you get older, because I mean, there's like, we're both fathers.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm on estrogen half the time because I'll be watching something and a scene will pop up and all of a sudden my eyes will just fucking start watering. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck's going on with me? Because and it'll be something that I've seen before, but it just hits you differently.
Right.
Because now you're a father. Now you're an adult. You're looking at it from a different point of view from your life experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so, I mean, these will change. Don't hold our feet to the fire. And if you want to comment on our list, simply go to don'tgiveafuck@gmail.com and write us. But hopefully
is that the official address?
That is not. We will hopefully have an official address for you guys to write in and put in any comments, or there might be a comment section on wherever this is posted. Don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
when we do get to that point with comments and everything, I would love to sift through the comments. Of course, there'll be many comments where, you know, you guys suck and, you know, go fuck your mother. And
as one does,
you guys, yes, all that good stuff. But, you know, that's the internet. What are you going to do?
Yeah. It's all right. It's all good fun. So
it is all good fun.
Cool. Top 5 movies. Do you want to start or you want me to start?
You start first.
Okay. I will go in no particular order.
Sweet.
But this will probably be my favorite movie. So I'm going to start at 1.
I'm not going to go in any particular order, but this is my favorite one.
And I don't have any definitive number, but this is the first that pops into my head whenever someone asks, "Oh, what's your favorite movie?" Back to the Future.
Oh, okay. I saw this coming.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's not any. It's not a secret. But
do you, when we give each other our movie, do you want to give the first impression from the other person?
Sure.
All right, I'll start that off. Back to the Future. I agree with him. It is one of the greatest movies ever made. It is a fantastic movie. I would dare say the trilogy it might be my favorite trilogy.
It's a pretty solid trilogy.
You know, I love Lord of the Rings, though, a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, excluding Lord of the Rings, Back to the Future, it might be my favorite trilogy. Fantastic.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a good, solid story. I like again, when I was a kid, I would watch movies over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So Back to the Future was on there. Crocodile Dundee was on there. Parts 1 and 2.
Well, that's not a knife.
That's a knife. The Karate Kid. And Flight of the Navigator, Cloak and Dagger.
Oh yeah.
And so a lot of these movies I just watched over and over. Goonies, I mean, the typical 80s kid movie fare. But it was one that I just watched consistently. Right. And I liked that movie a lot when I was a kid. And it was one of those, as I got older and I watched it again, I got more of the jokes. Because you started understanding more. But Back to the Future for me, I saw it multiple times. First time I saw it in the theater, I believe it was the 25th anniversary, and went down, saw it with some college friends of mine in the theater for the first time.
Because it came out in 85. So this would have been like,
2010,
I'm great at math.
2010. Who taught you math?
Gosh, I was in the damn Navy, in charge of nuclear reactors. I can't add.
Yeah,
1985 to
your
2000.
finger was on the button. God, I'm proud of this country.
Jesus.
So, so in 2010, 25th anniversary, they re-released it in theaters. It was to celebrate the Blu-ray release, and first time I saw it in theaters, and it was just watching it in with a bunch of fans. Of the movie, because obviously no one's going to go see a 25-year-old movie unless you're a fan of it. Yeah,
nostalgia, man.
Yeah, fantastic. It played well. Like the emotional beats hit me harder viewing that time than any other time. And
was it the experience seeing it with other people?
I think so, and that's why I think I don't see cinemas dying.
No.
And
let's get into this.
Yeah. So
I agree with you.
Because whenever it's movie theaters are dead, blah, 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 streaming, I was like, and everyone talks about, I hate theaters. I hate the experience. You have someone yelling, but there are a few instances that I think will keep them around. And that is the experience of, this is going to sound like church, being in fellowship or seeing it with a crowd in a congregation, looking at something that everybody is there to participate in together.
Right.
And I think that experience you can't get sitting at home.
No.
Maybe watching a movie with your family, but I mean, usually you're doing that. Your wife's on your phone. She falls asleep on the couch, and I'm just sitting there watching it by myself. Little toddler feet are kicking me in the face and climbing all over me, dogs barking and everything. But no, the emotional beats hit harder in that viewing, I think partly because of the experience, partly because I was watching it the way it was meant to be watched.
Right.
Movies back then were meant to be shown on a large screen. This is 1985. This is before home video became a huge thing. I mean, so people weren't making movies to be watched on a small screen. Right. They were making them to be seen huge, larger in life screen.
Yep.
And I think that kind of helped. Also, it was my favorite movie. It was the first time seeing it was all this other stuff I was playing up in my head, but I felt like the emotional beats hit harder. It still held up, still holds up. I mean, this is the other part of everything is foreshadowed. Everything is a callback.
There's a purpose to the
they
plot.
Set up everything. There's nothing extra in there. There's no filler.
Yeah.
There's no, everything feels organic. Everything feels like it belongs in that story.
Right.
And there's not a single thing that I could look at and be like, we need to take away.
Yeah. Take away that.
And it would be great. Plus, there's also nothing I need to see more of this.
Right.
That's why it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's just my favorite. I mean, it holds up. The acting is good. It's funny. Yeah. It's just,
I mean, the effects are a little outdated now, but you don't even notice it because the story is so good. You don't care.
You don't care. And it's the story. It's the story that matters.
Right.
And the story is just rock solid. And I think that's why a lot of other people like that movie. That's why it stands the test. It's like anything. It's like any good movie that'll stand the test of time. If a movie is good, it's like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is another one that it's an older film, but it holds up because the writing is there. The characters are true. And I mean, it's just good.
It's amazing how much you do not need special effects or anything like that to tell if the story is good, then everything will work itself out.
Yep. That was actually the single most important lesson that I got from college was in one of our video production classes. The year that I went to college was the year that my college got 2 cameras, the same cameras that George Lucas used for episode 2. You had to be a grad student to use them.
Okay.
I never used them, but everyone was talking about them on
Attack
campus.
Of the Clones?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And everyone was talking about them on campus, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we could use these cameras." But one of our video production classes, the teacher was like, "Look, it doesn't matter what equipment you have. You could have the crappiest equipment in the world, and you can as long as the story is there,
Yes.
people will be invested.
Right.
And it was something that everyone probably knew, but everyone's always glittery eyes and like, oh, I want the best equipment, or I need this and that, then that'll make it better. But then he had proceeded to show us a 8-minute little mini documentary that was done by a student, I think like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it on a VHS camera that was half beaten up because it was the only thing he had on him at the time, because he saw a guy rummaging in the dumpster and he went out and shot a story of him.
Wow.
Like just a little mini documentary about him and his wife. Great story. I mean, it was like, 5-8 minutes long. You saw the tracking lines on the videotape. Like, it was just a beat up image, but you were just engrossed.
Yeah.
But brings it back to, if the story is good, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah. Some things may seem a little dated, like effects, but
yeah, you don't even care at that point. Don't even care. But yeah, you're right about the cinematic experience. I couldn't agree more. There's nothing better or satisfying, I should say, than experiencing a movie with an audience, especially when, because the feelings are amplified at that point. Like if it's a comedy, the laughter, the jokes hit harder.
You're gonna feed off of each other. Everyone's, I mean, once you're in that, I mean, it's a kind of a mob mentality almost, and I think it helps with the experience.
Well, what other environment do you experience that? What, Twitter?
Mobs, Twitter, comment sections. And
yes, can't wait. By the way, I've never been on Twitter, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. I just hear things.
I've seen pictures.
Yes. Wait, isn't that Instagram?
It's bluebirds. Oh, no, I guess Instagram is pictures.
Yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm dumb when it comes to that. I'm not on social media, so.
Yeah, neither am I.
Maybe after this, if this hits and all the tens of people that are listening.
Yeah, the tens.
I have to promote this somehow.
Yeah.
To market it somehow.
Hashtag.
Is that
whatever the fuck? I don't know.
You know what? We're saying hashtag. That's probably not even a thing anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this is a good pick.
Yeah.
I like Back to the Future. All right. My pick is, I don't know if a lot of people have heard of this movie, but growing up, I've watched it. I don't know how many times. Wore out the VHS. It's just a wonderful story about a journey. This is before Lord of the Rings, before all that good stuff. Well, live action Lord of the Rings, I should say. But Willow.
Nice.
Directed by Ron Howard, also known as Opie from Happy Days. I think this was right after Splash. I think. Is that the movie called Tom Hanks, right? And Daryl Hannah, Splash?
Yeah.
Am I a moron right now?
No, that is a movie.
I think because it's a big budget movie, journey movie, like fantasy movie. And I think Ron Howard got approved to do it after the success of Splash. They were like, okay, yeah, you can do it.
1988.
Yeah.
Is when not Splash, but Willow came out.
But again, it is a George Lucas story by George Lucas. I didn't write the screenplay. I can't think off the top of my head who wrote the screenplay, but it's fantastic. The story's great. If you don't know what Willow is, it's a story of, and again, there are a lot of parallels with Lord of the Rings here because Willow is a dwarf. He lives in a dwarf village, the mirror there with, the hobbits and the Shire and all that good stuff. So an evil queen, the antagonist is the evil queen. And there's a baby born who's supposed to supplant her as, the fairest of them all, that old, that old tale from, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and all that good stuff. But so the evil queen, the baby's born, she knows where it is and decides to go kill it, right? With dogs, of course. The lady in charge with the safety of the baby releases the baby on the river. The baby floats down the river.
Like Moses?
Yes, like Moses. Yes. And then happens upon Willow's children who are in this, I can't remember what the village is called off the top of my head, but anyway, they find the baby, they raise the baby, plotline. They realize that the baby is special and they need to take the baby and have him be raised by human beings because they don't want their town or village to be in danger because they know that it's a special baby. So anyway, the story goes from there. Willow, again, like Lord of the Rings, it's like a fellowship. It's a brigade of people that go on a journey to take the baby to the rightful, someone to take care of the baby. Along the way, you meet Val Kilmer, who's excellent in this movie. Mad Mardigan, fantastic performance. Who's like Aragog,
Yep. Yeah.
Pretty much.
The young, dashing.
Whoever wrote this screenplay is definitely a fan of Lord of the Rings. No doubt about it. But anyway, you meet, Val Kilmer, hurdle to jump. Yeah, it's just an awesome fantasy epic journey. ultimately, I don't want to spoil it. If it's been out for 30 years.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yes, it is.
And I think that's when we watched it recently, didn't we?
I don't know if we did together, but I've watched it recently. It still holds up.
Yeah, it does hold up. And because I remember I watched that movie when I was younger. I think my mom or my brother had rented it.
Yep.
And again, that came out probably when I was 5. I saw it one time. And I remember liking it because I thought it not cute, but it looks comfortable.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I watched it recently. It holds up. Again, some of the effects are dated, but the story, the comedy, I mean, it's
the one-liners.
I was surprised it held up because I thought that was going to be one of the movies like,
yeah, it's definitely not. And I don't know why it wasn't a big success either at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely saw a surge in home video. I don't even know what came out that year. Why it was such a
88.
Such a flop.
I don't know. Batman was 89.
I know.
88. I know. Rainman came out in 88.
That's right. And I don't know, maybe people were just tired of Star Wars at that time. They didn't want any more fantasy. It kind of just made its run. Kind of like the way.
Was that after Howard the Duck?
Yes.
Or maybe that was like, oh God, George Lucas.
Wait, that's not on the list? Howard the Duck? The naked duck lady of the opening scene of that movie. Oh my God. It's like, what are you guys doing? Who thought that was a good idea?
The first Marvel movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's right. What, didn't they make a Punisher, like a crappy Punisher movie?
I think it was that, like Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah.
I think that was after.
It was after?
I think that was after.
Again, that was George Lucas. So, yeah, George Lucas had Howard the Duck. Then he made Willow. Willow's a great movie, by the way, but it just didn't perform well.
Mm-hmm.
And then you didn't hear from George Lucas until, The Force Awakens, The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Well, the special edition Star Wars. He re-released those to build up the back
that's
of
right.
the hype, and then because I think
when we do a podcast about the most overrated movies, the special edition Star Wars are definitely up there.
Yeah. Oh, I have a whole thing about changing movies.
Yeah.
Even if you've made them, going back and redoing effects or anything. I am against that. Yeah. Wholeheartedly. But
so anyway, Willow, that holds a special place in my heart. I love that movie. I could watch it right now over and over again. It's fantastic. Warwick Davis is an underrated actor. He's very good.
He is good.
Yeah.
He's been in so many things too.
I know. You may know him as, Grip Hook in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, he played Grip Hook, and he played Professor Flitwick.
Flitwick, that's right. And he also played a leprechaun in the wonderful horror franchise called
the Leprechaun.
I particularly like Leprechaun 2, Back to the Hood. It's so good.
I think I only saw a clip of those movies, and it was like the Leprechaun in space,
or
something like that, to where it was in space. They eject him out of the airlock or whatever. He's like, and I think this is from that movie, but like his hand is severed, floating in space, and then slowly just gives him the finger. And I don't know if he was giving it to the other characters or to the audience. But
oh my God,
but yeah, that's the only thing I can remember of the Leprechaun series. I don't think I saw any of the other ones, but
don't watch the Leprechaun series. Yeah, not good. What's your next one?
Next one, Kill Bill.
Ooh. So like together or just?
Yeah, I'm gonna count that as one movie.
That's fair.
So
I'll allow it.
Because I think it was supposed to be one movie.
It was supposed to be,
and I would love to see it as one movie because I don't mind 3-hour long run times. I don't mind 4-hour run times.
Oh, that's sweet
run time. But yeah, I like Kill Bill as probably one of my top 5, and that I saw in theaters when it came out. Loved it. It was, I think the first one came out like in the September or something like that. And then it was like 3 or 4 or 6 months later than the second one came out. But I like it as 2 separate movies. I thought the way
it was separated out,
had made it and separated it made sense.
Yeah.
Because you had your Kung Fu as part 1, and then you had your Western as part 2.
That's very true. Wait, Tarantino likes Westerns?
What? Huh?
What?
And
he's not influenced by that, is he?
Yeah, I thought I think it's probably one of his better films that he's done. But I like Kung Fu movies. I liked the action in it. I thought he did a good job Granted, a lot of that goes to the choreographer.
Mhm.
But as far as placing the camera, he did nice wide shots. He didn't get super close because, which would make sense because if he was drawing inspiration from kung fu films, they had wide angle shots. They had the choreography speak, and they let the actors do what they needed to do on camera, as opposed to also coming out around that time was Born Identity and the shaky cam or close up. You can't really tell what's going on kind of action scenes. But part one, great kung fu. And just a story. You have some of your Quentin Tarantino-isms, which is kind of like,
which you're not a fan of.
Yeah,
but I am.
I'm not like the self-stroking shit that he does to where, can you tell I wrote this and no one talks like this ever, but my characters do because they're cool and
That's
quirky.
True. But he's so good at it.
Yeah, he is good at it. He's better than a lot of other people who try to do the same thing.
Do that. It's almost embarrassing, the people that try.
Yeah.
The person that comes to mind is Rob Zombie. His dialogue is just fucking cringe sometimes.
But no, I mean, Kill Bill, I thought the set design, the places where everything took place was so great. Part two, when you had the more Western feel, and drawing inspiration from the Searchers as far as like the framings, story structure. And I thought, enjoy, it's one of those I can just watch over and over. And I actually find myself enjoying, and I know I said I'd count it as one film, but I enjoy watching the second one more than I do than the part one.
The first one?
Yeah, the first one.
I think the final scene with Richard Carradine and Uma Thurman, the whole conversation they have and the way it's set up and how it concludes, it's just perfectly done. Fantastic. Love
the
it.
Sitting at a table.
Yes.
Of course. There wouldn't be a David Carradine.
Oh, what did I say? Richard Carradine?
Yeah.
How many? He has a bunch of brothers. He has a bunch of fucking. You know, his brother is in Dexter.
Yeah, Keith. Yeah, Keith Carradine. But yeah. It's the which that's one of my qualms about Tarantino is it's not a Tarantino movie unless you're sitting at a table talking. And that
and there's feet. There's copious amounts of feet in the movie.
Yeah, the copious amounts of feet. But yeah, the sitting at the table talking. Now, sometimes it works really well. Like when I really enjoy the scene when Uma Thurman goes and see Michael Parks, who is the Mexican pimp. In the second movie, and Michael Parks played, I forget the character's name.
He plays the sheriff as well.
Well, he played the sheriff, and then he played the Mexican pimp where he goes to find out
where Bill
lives.
Yeah.
And that whole exchange I enjoyed.
Yes.
Because having that pretentious dialogue back and forth in that scene worked.
Yeah.
Because the guy thought of himself as a classy individual. So it made sense there. I enjoy scenes like that. Other scenes, I think it works too in some of his other movies when the camera's just kind of moving around, like Reservoir Dogs. They're talking about tipping and stuff like that. It felt like a natural conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, other movies, some scenes like in Inglourious Bastards, he did it to pretty good effect. Other scenes it didn't, but yeah.
But you're dead on with the people talking at a table. I'd never thought about that until now.
Yeah.
I'm going through the catalog and like, shit, yeah, there is.
And that's why I wasn't a fan of Inglourious Bastards as much as what other people were. Now I love the first scene. The first scene sitting at the farmhouse, and you had Christoph Waltz come in and he's talking with the farmer, and then you have people underneath the floorboards. That I thought was awesome. That scene and the scene in the cafe when he's eating his pie. Two great scenes of people sitting and talking. I did not like that movie because I was expecting something different. Which is probably just my fault. But when the film was advertised, I remember in the trailers, it'd be like, you have not seen war until you've seen it through the eyes of Quentin Tarantino. And I was like, oh shit, it's going to be fucking violent. It's going to be gory. It's going to be, maybe it'll be like hard hitting. Nope. It's two people sitting in a farmhouse talking. It's two people sitting in a cafe talking. It's 4 people sitting in a bar talking. It's 5 people sitting in a movie theater talking. It was just scenes after scenes of people talking. I was like, oh, I get it. War through the eyes of Quentin Tarantino's people sitting in a fucking room and talking. Hey,
there was a scene where the bear Jew busts the guy's ass, his head open like a cantaloupe.
Yep.
I guess that's Tarantino. And now I guess you're right. Yeah. Well, and then the finale where they destroy Hitler's face with a machine gun.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, spoiler alert.
spoiler alert, Hitler dies. But yeah, so and everyone's like, oh, Tarantino wants to write a Star Trek film. They're like, oh, we'd love to see a Star Trek film, which in theory, as long as he goes back to the hard sci-fi, sure, it could be good. But everyone's like, oh, could you imagine a Star Trek film by Quentin Tarantino? I was like, yes, I can. It's going to take place in the cafeteria of 4 people sitting, talking, and it's going to take place on the bridge of the whole crew sitting and talking for 3 hours. And that's all it's going to be. But at least it'll be shot in 70 super wide, and it'll take place in one room and have a budget of $5. Shit on the Hateful Eight?
That's another great movie.
But yeah, no. So that's my other top 5, Kill Bill. Love it.
You know what would also happen in the Star Trek directed by Quentin Tarantino is there'd be some sort of space golf cart. Well, you're just driving around the Starship Enterprise, and you're just driving around the
shuttle, little shuttle.
You're just driving around.
Yep.
You just
that's all right.
Taking in the scenery.
That is okay.
We'll do that for
little space Carmen Gia, just kind of going through, and
we'll do that for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And listen to I don't know, some 70s throwback music.
That's okay. Yeah. That's perfectly fine because fantastic film.
I'm of course referencing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I think might be my least favorite Quentin Tarantino movie.
Probably my second. Might be my most favorite.
See, and that's why we're sitting here talk about these things. That's a good pick. All right, my next one, I went down the animation route here, and I'm thinking, I think he's probably the best. This is before Pixar, so he's probably my favorite animation director, Don Bluth. Mm-hmm. And I was gonna go Land Before Time, but I'm gonna stick with American Tail. It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Don Bluth, by the way, so he did Land Before Time. You know, I can't tell you how many times I watched that as a kid, and then a Pizza Hut commercial right before Land Before Time. By the way, this is back when they did advertisements with your VHSs. So you'd have to watch the Pizza Hut commercial. Obviously, it's catered to kids. So you'd watch the Pizza Hut commercial, they'd sell the merchandise, and then go right into the movie.
Yep.
But he also did All Dogs Go to Heaven, which it might be the saddest cartoon ever made.
Never saw it.
Oh, God.
I've seen American Tail. I've seen Land Before Time.
Yeah. All Dogs Go to Heaven's another one. But anyway, he had a great run in the 80s, and I think my favorite one is American Tail.
Yeah, because I think he was a Disney animator.
He was.
And then he went off on his own.
Yeah.
He did, and the ones he did on his own, American Tail, Land Before Time.
The Secret of Nymph, too, was another one.
Secret of Nymph. And then he did Dragon's Lair.
Yeah.
Which was all you kids out there playing Elden Ring or whatever the hell that new game is now, where it's super hard. It's a super hard video game. It's kind of like Dark Souls, which I never played either. I'm not much. I'm a very, very casual gamer, but
right. I am out of the loop.
Yeah, it's my buddy keeps texting me about it, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, look at all these people freaking out because it's so hard." Anyways, he did Don Bluth, I think, was the supervising animator or something like that for that game? For Dragon's Lair. Okay. And that was the original super hard game. And if you ever played that I mean, it was on Stranger Things, I think. They had a small bit of it. It was that classic animation style.
Wait, that's not the thing where on Big, where they're, you know what I'm talking about? In Big, where he's playing that computer game, or is that something completely different?
I think that's Zork. Okay. I could be wrong though, but no, it's something different because Dragon's Lair didn't come out for, I don't think it didn't come out for anything home release until late, like maybe the 90s or something, or an emulator. But yeah, that was a very difficult game, frustratingly so, to where made you not even want to play it. Yeah. But no, yeah, Don Bluth, great.
Oh yeah. And the story is, they don't make it like that anymore, where normally it's the children are lost, and it's the story of the parents trying to find the children. With Land Before Time, and especially in American Tail, it's the parents being separated from the child, and then you're seeing it through the eyes of the child. Mm-hmm. The child goes on a journey to figure out where the parents are, and that's it. It's like brilliant storytelling, because you are marketing the story for kids, and you want kids to experience the story as the kid.
Yeah.
So the decisions they make, especially Feifel in that movie, it's like, oh, that's what I remember watching it as a kid and be like, well, that works. Why won't that work? And that's what I would do. But as you watch it as an adult, you're just like, oh my,
what are you doing, moron?
I know, what a dumb kid, you know. But the animation's great, the story's great, the villain's good. The song, there's a couple songs in there. Somewhere out there. I mean, great song. I could watch it right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it probably since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I brought it upstairs because I have it on DVD. I was going to bring it up to have my oldest watch, but I was like, "Oh, you want to watch this?" She took one look at it. I was like, "No, Frozen," and I was like, "Great, there we go."
Yep,
popping Frozen again.
Popping Frozen.
So
wait, is that popular?
I think so. I think it's still popular. Second one's better than the first one, I think, but
I do like the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not saying much.
But cool.
Yeah.
All right.
What you got next?
What I got next, I guess, overall number 3. Rainman.
What a good movie. It's a great movie.
And
for people that don't know what Rainman is, what is Rainman, Jay?
Rainman is a movie featuring Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, and it was released in 1988. Won Best Picture, I believe.
Yeah.
It is a movie. Tom Cruise plays a character, Charlie Babbitt. He is a car importer, and typical 80s profession. He's in it for the money, quick bucks, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets word that his father dies. And he goes to the reading of the will. And during the reading of the will, his father's lawyer says, "Oh, you get the rose bushes, you get the house, you get the car." But the estate worth over X amount of millions of dollars, all of that goes into a private trust. And he starts questioning it. He's like, "What do you mean? What private trust?" He's like, "Oh, it means it goes to a trustee that is not disclosed here." Later, he finds out he has a brother that he didn't know about, an older brother that was about 10 years older than him.
Mm-hmm.
And he tracks down his brother, and his brother has autism. And he goes to a home. I don't think it's a psychiatric ward. I think it's just a
place for him to live. Yeah.
Yeah. Nursing home.
They take care of him. Yeah.
Yep. And meets his brother, and he gets the idea. He's like, well, I want my half of the inheritance. I have a debt that I need to pay with my business. So I'm going to more or less kidnap my brother.
Yeah.
And hold him ransom.
That's what he does.
And
perfectly legal.
Yeah. Perfectly legal.
Only in the 80s.
Yeah. In the 80s.
Such an 80s plotline.
And so I'm going to hold him ransom until I get my half of the inheritance.
Right.
So, and then it goes on from there. It's kind of a car road trip movie.
Yeah. And Barry Levinson directed it, right?
Yes. And
he's good. I think he did Good Morning Vietnam. That's another one of my really.
So he did quite a few that are just, solid. But
solid, yeah.
The acting, so good.
Yeah.
And this movie kind of it probably gets flack now because they're like, oh, it perpetuated stereotype to where if you have autism, you can, you're really good at math or anything like that.
Sure.
And, to where some of the medical terminology or anything may seem dated now, but this movie, when it came out, it was the first time to like a mass market, did it tell everybody about this condition.
Yeah.
And, so I think it should be applauded for that. But the acting, Tom Cruise is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Hoffman, funny, but he does it
authentically.
Yeah. To the character.
Sure.
It was loosely based off a real person that had autism that Dustin Hoffman spent some time with. But I mean, their interactions.
Yeah.
One thing that I think sticks, it shows real frustration that people have when dealing with somebody that has autism or a mental disability,
right?
Or a mental handicap. It shows that frustration in a very realistic, but also humorous light.
Right.
It keeps it fairly lighthearted.
Yeah.
So
it balances that very well.
It does. And because I mean, obviously there's drama in there. There's some emotional beats, and it's very good. And there's nice character arcs.
Oh yeah.
For Charlie Babbitt, Tom Cruise's character. And everybody involved. Not so much for Dustin Hoffman. It doesn't. I mean, in the 80s, you could have had he's cured of like some BS
right.
shit.
Yeah.
But no, it kept it grounded.
Yeah.
For what they knew of the condition at that time.
Yep.
And like I said, it was before a lot of people knew something like this existed or were aware of something like this.
Yeah.
And they made that apparent in the movie to where everyone was just kind of like, oh, is he all right? Or like, what's his deal kind of a thing. But
yeah.
But no, really good. I watched a lot when I was younger. I thought it was, I quote lines from it all the time. I love the movie. Tugs at the heartstrings.
Oh yeah, man. And the whole, and that's one of the reasons why I think that movie is so great is it takes its time to build up to that satisfying moment where, does Dustin Hoffman character have a heart? Is he like at all there? Does he have any emotional human connection with somebody?
Mm-hmm.
And when he puts his head,
yep,
it's like it builds to that moment. It takes the whole movie to build to that, and it's so satisfying. It's like if you don't like get a tear in your eye, it's like come on.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Skip ahead for the rest, but at the beginning, it's you can't touch him. Like he doesn't want anyone touching him.
Yep.
He doesn't want. It lays the groundwork.
Yes.
And every time every time Tom Cruise like would touch him on the shoulder or anything like that, Dustin Hoffman's character would just freak out. And but yeah, so his whole thing is he never wants anyone to touch him. But yeah, at the end of the toward the end of the film, they have that moment where they touch heads.
Yep.
They make that physical contact, and that's his breakthrough.
Yes.
And yeah, fantastic.
Great writing.
If you have a brother, watch it. If you don't have a brother, you have a sister, watch it.
Yeah.
It's a good sibling movie.
Absolutely. It's a good road trip movie too.
Yeah, good road trip movie. It's funny, heartfelt, really good. And the character interactions are perfect.
Spot on.
Yeah.
So. I agree. All right, now I'm going to talk about what I think might be, I don't want to say this and not be accused of hyperbole, but I'm going to do it anyway. It is probably the best action movie ever made, I think, just because it works on so many different levels, so many different genres, and that is Predator. If you don't know what Predator is, it's this, I don't want to say successful franchise because the movies that have followed this are just, I don't want to say crap, but I want to say crap. They're not good. Especially the latest one, The Predator with Shane Black. I was so disappointed in that movie.
Oh, the one that he
directed and wrote,
rewrote or remade.
What a steaming pile of dog shit! I was so mad. Anyway, that's because the first one is so damn good on so many different levels, and this is a movie that I watched all the time growing up. It was one of those movies that my mom let me watch that was rated R. Mm-hmm. My mom was pretty liberal when it came to letting me watch movies, but this one is like, pretty hardcore in terms of like the violence in it.
Yeah.
And the adult themes and whatnot. But
aren't people like skinned and
hanging upside down? At one point the Predator takes the guy's spine out from his back and it's pretty brutal. But yeah, I watched it to death because, I was a big Schwarzenegger fan. It works on the, one man taking on the world kind of thing. And Schwarzenegger was the king back in the 80s for that. But what makes this movie so good is it's the balance of, or I guess it's the start of the movie. You feel like it's just going to be a typical action movie where, a group of commandos, could take on the entire, I think they're in Nicaragua. I think that's where they are. The Nicaraguan, cartel or militia or whatever to go extract some information and then bring it back. And you think that's what it's going to be. And along the way, they're going to meet like an alien or whatever. And then they're just going to have some action set pieces. And then that's going to be that. But it starts that way. And then you have the giant blowout. Spoiler, this is a giant blowout where they meet the militia, they blow it up, they kill pretty much everybody in sight, and then they extract the info. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, Schwarzenegger realizes that they're not the first team to go in to extract this info because they run across the team that was slated to do it, and they're hanging upside down, they're skinned alive, and they think the Nicaraguan military did it. Mm-hmm. And they realize that slowly but surely that they're being hunted by something and they can't see it or they don't know what's going on, and then it turns into like a horror suspense thriller movie.
Similar
It's
to
crazy.
I mean, this is after Predator, but yeah, Dusk Till Dawn had the same thing.
Correct.
Thought it was just a
Yeah.
normal kidnap
Yep.
crime movie, and then it turns into
Like a horror movie.
yeah, vampires
Yeah,
everywhere,
absolutely. But Predator does it so well. And John McTiernan,
and
that's the director, right? He's
believe
got to go
so.
down as like one of the greatest 80s directors of all. And this guy directed Die Hard.
Definitely the best 80 director
Oh
that
my
got
God.
busted for wire fraud.
What else did he do? It's just escaping me. He did another really good movie in the. Well,
he
he did
Die Hard.
He did Die Hard. He did well, not in the 80s, but he did the Thomas Crown Affair with Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo. That's
fantastic,
a great movie.
Yeah.
He did Last Action Hero, which I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, Last Action Hero is a good one. That I think is probably one of the best meta movies. I mean,
very underrated.
Hit it, but yeah, Medicine Man, Hunt for the Red October.
Thank you. That's another great. Being a former sub guy, the Hunt for Red October is just a fantastic. There's a lot of physical inaccuracies on how a sub operates, but the jargon and the
is that like your
is,
Roadhouse for like if you were a bouncer, like they all sit around watching Roadhouse?
No.
Like, so I just imagine you like kind of a mix between like a Top Gun after volleyball game. All of you guys are like in your boxers wearing your dog tags in the submarine, and you guys are just sitting like in the mess hall or whatever, like kind of like lightly sweaty watching Hunt for Red October. It's like that and Crimson Tide, and you're just like,
I was just gonna say Crimson Tide. I was like, no, it's
U571 and Das Boot. And you're like, oh god, yeah. Men.
We're kind of just sitting there with our arms around each other, just kind of like you said, lightly sweating. But back to Predator. It's just fantastic. Like just the way that it flips genres in between the story points is just fantastic. It's flawlessly done. And he does take an element out of Spielberg here where he doesn't show the Predator until like an hour in. He gives you like, okay, this is, camouflage, and you see the vision goggles, and he can see like heat signatures and stuff like that, but you don't see him until basically he's in that epic clash at the end with Schwarzenegger, and it just becomes like a one-on-one
deathmatch,
cat and mouse.
Brawl,
yeah, it's just great. And I could watch it right now and just be as enthralled with it just because it's so well done.
Nice.
It has some of the best lines, by the way, Jay.
It does have some of the best lines.
Goddamn
sexual tyrannosaur.
Can you think of any, Jay?
I can say, and again, great.
I don't want to get off.
Great one line. I don't want to spoil it for anybody if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm sure anyone who's listening to this has seen Predator. But
I know.
Oh, so good. Just it's definitely dated, but
I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah.
Okay.
You son of a bitch. Oh, yeah. Good. I mean, good movie. It's simple too.
Yeah, it's very simple. I agree.
Like they could have just shot it in somebody's backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have. And actually, I remember listening to the commentary on that. McTiernan was saying that the jungle that they shot in was so thick that it wasn't cinematically appealing, so they had to go in and cut like the foliage off with like machetes. And as you're watching it, you're like the clearing that like there's this super wide shot of I think his name's Danny. There's a wide shot in the jungle and there's literally no foliage. It's just an open area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, would that actually happen in the jungle? And it makes sense after you watch it again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like anything. You always have more light, more clearing than what's actually there. But
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
See, number 4. Well, let's keep with the Shane Black because Predator was written by Shane Black. So my number 4, or the 4th one in my list would be Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, written and directed by Shane Black.
Super jealous. How come I didn't think of that movie?
Probably one of my favorite comedies. It's a good mystery. It's like a typical like noir, like I don't know if neo noir is the technical term for it, but just a current noir style movie. It's a mystery, and you have your private investigator, you got your femme fatale, you got you have all these characters, but they're just kind of jumbled together, and everyone's a little bit of an idiot. But
I would say a lot of an idiot.
Yeah,
especially Downey Jr.'s character.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. plays it perfect. This came out in 2005.
Yep,
and Robert Downey Jr. plays a burglar. And he comes across like he goes out to LA, he comes across a dead body, he meets a PI, and he just kind of gets entangled in this situation.
What is the PI's name in this movie?
Gay Perry. Gay Perry, played by Val Kilmer, which probably one of my favorite Val Kilmer roles. He plays him.
You realize that Val Kilmer is in 2 movies so far that we've talked about?
Yes.
The guy's just a national treasure.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. But yeah, so Val Kilmer plays Gay Perry, and he plays the private investigator. So he's kind of like helping Robert Downey Jr. in a way, and eventually they kind of partner up to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
But Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr.'s interaction is so funny.
Priceless.
The banter back and forth. It's 2 people that are really good with timing. If you didn't know, Val Kilmer came from comedy.
Yep.
Like the Top Secret, like he did some slapstick stuff before. Sure. And then it was after Top Gun, he started getting more action-esque kind of leading man roles that were not humorous in nature.
Yep.
But
he's got great delivery.
Yeah.
His timing's fantastic.
Delivery, his timing, he plays a good... I consider him, typically in comedies, you have the goofy person, you have the straight man.
Yep.
And I feel like in this movie, Robert Downey Jr. typically is, a lot of times you have the straight man as the main character.
Yeah.
And the goofy one is the sidekick. This one, Robert Downey Jr. is the main character, and he's kind of the narrator a little bit. But the straight man is Gay Perry.
Yep.
To where Gay Perry,
ironically,
ironically, in which he still delivers funny lines, and he's still a humorous character, but he kind of has that mentality of like, the fuck you doing?
Right.
Like, God damn it. Like he's like trying to fix things, and Robert Downey Jr. keeps fucking things up. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Who taught you math?
Yeah. Who taught you math? And a lot of good one-liners in there, really well written. Shane Black did a very good job.
Right. And that's why I was so disappointed with The Predator, because Shane Black is just a terrific writer.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have Kiss Kiss Bang, which I think is it might be his magnum opus. It's fantastic.
I think it's probably his best one. Long Kiss Goodnight was pretty good.
And then The Nice Guys is great.
Which I feel like that was supposed to be a sequel to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But when that came out, I think that's when Val Kilmer was dealing with his throat cancer.
Yeah.
And I feel like they had to go in a different direction with it. Because the characters are very similar. You have your Russell Crowe character, which was kind of similar to
Gay Perry.
Gay Perry. Yeah. And then you had Ryan Gosling's character, which was similar to Downey's character.
Yeah.
And they changed some things with it or whatever. But delivery was great. Everyone does a good job in acting. It's quick.
Yep.
It's clever. It's worth a rewatch. It's not one of those mysteries like, oh, I watched it once, I don't need to watch it again.
But you're not watching it for the mystery.
Yeah,
you're watching it for the banter between Kilmer and...
That's a good point. Yeah, you're watching it for the characters.
Yes.
And so good. It's probably my favorite Robert Downey Jr. It's Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, peak of their game.
Oh yeah.
Shane Black, peak of his game.
Yeah.
Shane Black does a lot of buddy movies. He did I think he wrote The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah, I think so.
Long Kiss Goodnight, buddy movie between Gina Davis and Samuel Jackson. Then you had The Nice Guys, Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. He does a lot of buddy movies. Lethal Weapons.
Yeah.
So
wait, what are those?
What? He's fantastic film. I could watch it anytime. It's always funny and so good.
Yeah, I agree. All right. My next fourth one, I think we're on the fourth list here. Fourth movie on the list. We were just talking about mysteries, and I think that the twist on this one, if you've never seen this movie before, it's the first time I watched it, I just couldn't believe. I just didn't see that coming. It was like the Sixth Sense sort of twist where I just didn't see it coming, and I wasn't even anticipating it. But a little movie called Primal Fear. If you've never heard of Primal Fear, it stars Richard Gere and Edward Norton.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
it's Edward Norton's
first role. It is. And I can't believe I didn't come prepared. Who the hell directed this? Jesus. God damn it. Hold on. Came out in 96. Great movie. I remember the first time I watched this, my mom rented it because she's a giant Richard Gere fan. And I was just bored. And I'm like, I didn't even know what it was about. And Gregory Hoblet. I think he also directed Fallen with Denzel Washington, which is another underrated movie. Let me look here. I think he did Fallen. He did do Fallen. So he followed up Primal Fear with Fallen, and then he did another great movie. Damn, he did Frequency with that's another great
with Dennis
movie.
Quaid and Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Damien. Chazelle. Jim Caviezel.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
He's henceforth known as Jesus.
Yeah.
So this guy went on a run. He did Primal Fear, Fallen, and Frequency. All those are great movies.
Frequency is really solid.
It's solid.
Primal Fear is too.
Anyway, so Primal Fear. So I watched it with my mom, not even expecting anything of it. So what was I, 11 at the time? Yeah, 11.
Wonderful movie.
I know. Great movie for an 11-year-old. Like I said, my mom was very liberal when it came to letting me watch movies. But no, if you look at the cover of Primal Fear, you think it's going to be a courtroom drama. There might be some F-bombs here and there, but you're not thinking that it's going to go down this dark path of
it's going to be a
Catholic priests, sodomizing their
altar boys,
and there's murder involved and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so can I do spoilers?
Yeah, do spoilers.
I'll do spoilers.
If you don't want to hear spoilers, skip ahead to time code 2 hours and 57 minutes because we're talking about this for about an hour and 15.
I know. But Richard Gere plays a lawyer who is hired to, he's not hired, he takes the case to defend Edward Norton's character, who has fled the scene of a murder of an archdiocese, I think, of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it goes. Anyway, he's brutally murdered, the archdiocese, in his bedroom. There's a really awful scene where his fingers are getting chopped off and he's basically stabbed to death. Edward Norton runs out from the cops. They find him underneath a bridge or whatever, and he's taken into custody. Richard Gere is like a well-known prosecutor. He's on the cover of like GQ Chicago or whatever, and takes the case. And essentially, it's a character study, the whole movie, where did he do it? Did he not do it? There's sort of a mystery thing going on, and the whole time you're like, well, you're thinking that it's a mystery of trying to find the other guy because he seems so sweet and endearing, and he plays it very well where he's just an innocent kid who just got caught up or whatever, and then it just takes a left turn into fucking Sybil, multiple personality plot line, and you're just like, what the hell? And then he just owns the performance. He's so good, just like on a dime. Just it's an amazing performance. And then the story between Richard Gere and I think Laura Linney plays the other lawyer in the movie. There's this whole dichotomy between the two. They used to be lovers and all that stuff, and he plays that against her, like he's just a sweet innocent kid. I can't believe you're just trying to further your career, and she's like, no, you're trying to further your career. And so there's a whole relationship going on back and forth, and you feel for Edward Norton the whole movie, and you're like, how is Richard Gere going to get this guy off? Because he's an innocent little guy, he's got mental issues. And you feel for him, and then right at the end, it's just this juggernaut where he realizes that his story is inconsistent. I can't remember what the line is exactly, but and then there's the slow clap where Edward Norton gives him that he figured it out. Like, this has all been just a giant setup. I don't have multiple personality disorder. I just wanted to kill that guy because he abused me, and I wanted to get away with murder. And I wanted to plead insanity. And it comes after the decision already, so he's already off. Yeah,
he's already off, and
it's so well done. And
it's well done because you don't know how, as a viewer, you're supposed to feel.
Right.
Like, you feel like you were taken advantage of and lied to.
Yeah.
Similar to Richard Gere.
Yeah.
You felt like, oh, good, justice was served.
Exactly.
He got off, and you're like, oh,
we're gonna go home happy.
He premeditated this. Yes, he was abused. Yes, he killed an abuser.
Yep.
Is that still right? That still? I mean, it kind of leaves you in this, like, not emotional, just this moral mess.
Right at the end of it.
As far as, well, this happens.
Right.
And
movies don't do that enough anymore.
They don't, because everything's usually wrapped up in a nice little bow.
Or it leaves it open-ended for a sequel or something.
Yeah, definitely for the sequel.
And definitely early to mid 90s movies, there's a lot of, I don't want to say big budget, but a lot of money was given to like just adult stories like that.
One of the best, Fugitive.
Yes.
Fantastic, just nice adult.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Like, there's no special effects. It's literally the script, and then you have a really good actor. You pay them the money, a majority of the budget, and then you let them do their thing. As long as the story is good. And that's Just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, there were a lot of, that a lot of those movies in the 90s I felt like had to do with courtrooms.
Yes, there's a lot of that.
Because you had a lot of
well, it was at the prime of OJ, 94.
Yep. Yeah,
That's what it was.
OJ, you had I think Time to Kill. That was a 90s
That was 95,
movie?
yeah.
95, and
That's
then you
another
had
Few Good Men.
Few Good Men.
That came out before
Rainmaker. I think
Rainmaker.
Rainmaker might have been early 2000.
No, it was 97.
97, yeah. It was early Matt Damon.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had a lot of those courtroom or like criminal mystery kind of movies.
Yep.
That just, they weren't necessarily slow burns because I feel like they were entertaining throughout. Like they're usually with a slow burn, it's like, the hell's going on kind of a thing. And then it pays off. But a lot of these movies, they were just solid.
Yes.
Who is it? Not Tom Clancy. John Grisham.
Yeah.
Like there's John Grisham movies like The Client and
The Firm.
You get just a lot of those.
He was Rainmaker too, right? You wrote The Rainmaker, yeah.
And but yeah, just those good solid adult stories that we don't get anymore.
You won't get a theatrical release of them anymore.
Yeah,
that's for
it'll
sure.
be a direct to Netflix.
Exactly.
It'll start.
Even the streaming services though, their movies coming out are just high budget, special effects, spectacular extravaganzas.
Yeah,
there's not really any
special effects extravaganzas. Definitely. It's just not. They're just not there. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because you're not seeing it in theater.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because the people who are making it know you're not going to see it in a theater.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's just something missing. Like obviously it's a real movie, but it's just missing that it feels like a made for TV movie.
It does.
And
yeah, it does.
And I don't know if it's just because, I would think it could be a couple of different things. It could be, directors or producers realizing, all right, this is a Netflix or a Amazon Prime, something. It's an original for them. Just kind of churn it out.
You're right, because what are they held accountable for? Just supplying a movie.
So it's supplying a movie. Do they have to listen to Netflix at all? Right. Does Netflix give them carte blanche? Be like, hey, do what you want. Which I could see a lot of directors and storytellers being like, hey, I can do whatever the hell I want. Great. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. However, then at the same time, we bitch about studio notes.
Right.
But then you can kind of see the other side to where,
that's why they're not allowed to do whatever they want.
That's why they're not allowed to do whatever they want. So like Tenet, great looking movie.
Sure.
Love Christopher Nolan movies. I like that he can do whatever he wants now.
Yeah.
However, I think somebody on that movie should have been like, and maybe I'm a dummy. I know I'm a dummy.
You know what? To be fair to you, if anyone says that they understand Tenet, you're such a bullshitter.
Yeah, you're so full of shit. You're like,
oh well, technically, with the back of the time, see the way the time thing works.
Well, entropy actually is a inverse of Get the fuck out of here.
It was a great concept. I think it needed like 2 or 3 more rewrites to be able to. But you see the importance of studio notes to where if you let anybody do whatever they want. Red Notice, great movie of meh.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just I felt like the whole thing was shot in front of a green screen.
Yep.
So, which it probably was. But I mean, it was The Rock playing The Rock, Gal Gadot playing Gal Gadot, and Ryan Reynolds playing Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. No one in that movie was probably like, we're making the next Godfather here. They're probably just like, yep, we're all collecting a paycheck.
Let's go through the motions.
Let's be entertaining.
Let's do it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what's missing. Maybe it is a little of the writers and directors can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe Netflix gives them notes and they're just crappy notes.
Could be.
That could be it too. So we're not. Can't.
Point is, they don't make Primal Fears anymore.
They don't.
God.
Everything.
They should.
I'm trying to think.
And it's not even the twist at the end of that. And it's a great performance by Edward Norton.
Especially the first movie.
I know.
I mean, I don't know if he was in theater before, but be able to deliver a performance like that. But not only that first performance, but to be able to do it again in American History X and do it again. And I mean, as he's going through his movies, I mean, it's just a very solid. I mean, I think that's one of the few examples of just natural talent.
Oh, for
to
sure.
be able to do that and nail it that
Yeah.
that well.
Yeah. Yeah, that scene with, I think it's Frances McDormand, right? She's the psychologist that interviews him in the room.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure
it's been several
great.
years since I've seen this, but
yeah. Well, it's not just the twist that makes that such a great movie. It's just the writing is fantastic and the plot line, and then Gear's evolution over his whole character arc, and then even Laura Linney's is just
they construct the story well enough to where you're engaged throughout the film. They're giving you a little bit, just enough to keep you engaged, but also to not get so far ahead of the viewer.
Yep.
Because nowadays it's like the scripts are written and you can see where it's coming
a mile away.
Yes. And everything is just the same as it was before. And it's like, let's make content just for the sake of making content.
Right.
And there's nothing new or at least any kind of serious thought brought into something.
Yep.
And that was I don't want to say a mediocre movie, but it wasn't a
tentpole
blockbuster movie. It wasn't a blockbuster. It was just, here's a drama.
Yeah.
And everyone worked their ass off on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, good movie.
Great movie. What's your last one there?
Well, I shit on him for Tenet, so I'll just have to say that.
Hey, Tenet's good.
It was fine.
It's confusing, but it's good.
Interstellar.
I
think
what a great movie.
I love hard sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
I like space movies. 2001, love it. Like anything that takes place. I mean, in the early 2010s, there was a nice little chunk of 3 or 4 years of just sci-fi after sci-fi after sci-fi, after the only sci-fi around was comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
To where you had Interstellar come out, you had Gravity come out, you had The Martian, you had
Inception was another one that came out.
Inception. Well, I'm thinking sci-fi space
movies.
Space movies. To where I thought it was going to be that resurgence of space movies. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy took place in space, but I mean,
I know what you're talking about.
The hard science movies of that. And Interstellar was one of the few movies I saw, I think it was either 2 or 3 times in theaters. And the first time, it was the second movie I watched that I was aware of his sound mixing. The first one was the Batman or Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
And you can understand. Yeah. You can understand.
You
Bane.
think darkness is your ally?
I was born. But the sound mixing in that, I enjoyed. If you haven't seen Interstellar, you've probably seen Interstellar.
Yeah.
When he's in his dream at the very beginning, or whenever they're having dialogue and just the noise of the ship, or they're about ready to launch, you can tell someone's saying something, but it's drowned out by the sound effects. I'm fine with that because it I knew the first time I watched it, whatever they're saying is not important. It's the ship. It's the overwhelming of the environment that the character is in. But the hard science, the only thing I didn't like, 2 things I didn't like: explaining black hole, time dilation, and
you didn't like how they explained it or the reason?
I just didn't like them explaining it.
Okay.
So as a viewer, and someone who already knew that, I was hoping, oh, please don't explain it. Just say, okay, it's the proximity of the black hole means there's going to be time dilation to the surface. We need to get in and out.
Yeah.
Just don't explain it, because other people on that ship already know what you're talking about. You don't need the event horizon, pencil through the paper wormhole kind of a thing. You don't need, I mean, I know why it's in there. It's in the,
because not everyone has seen Event Horizon with Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill.
And I know
because the exact same scene.
And I know no one
in Interstellar
looks at like time dilation theories and stuff like that. So I know it's on there for the general audience, but so that was a small quibble that I had with it. Not that big of a deal. The other thing is what's her name? Anne Hathaway's reason for, I want to go see my boyfriend because love surpasses all time, and that was a little hokey. I don't know if it just wasn't delivered well, but those are the only 2 things I had an issue with. Everything else I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
The Planet with the Wave, the score, that's probably one of my favorite scores I've ever heard in a movie, but it's very simple and is very, very, very nice. But the cinematography, the way it was shot, you had the fixated camera on the wing of the planet shuttle.
The
It was
spaceship,
shot like NASA would have shot it.
Yeah.
It was shot very realistically. And it was just, was it 100% scientifically accurate? I don't know. But I know they tried.
Mm-hmm.
Did the emotional beats pay off? No, not all of them. I feel like the son, he's got the shaft in that family.
Oh, he did.
But which was young Timothy Chalamet or whatever.
That's right.
Was the son,
and then he turned into Casey Affleck, right?
Yeah, yep, turned into Casey Affleck. But
I think the story is about love. Essentially, it's about family love, and just a black hole and the whole planet in peril thing is just to support that story of a father-daughter relationship.
Sure.
That's basically all it is. And I think the way they concluded that, and yet you're right, the line that Anne Hathaway says is very hokey, love, but that's basically the theme of the story.
Yeah.
It's love transpires time and space.
Yeah.
Right. I can connect with you regardless of time and space. And that's what, spoiler alert, Matthew McConaughey enters the black hole. He goes into this other dimension where he can interact with.
Yeah, the Tesseract or whatever they call it.
Correct.
And, yeah.
And every time they say that, I think Loki with the fucking Infinity Stone. So I wish they wouldn't call it Tesseract because you know what?
That came out.
Marvel has been out now. That came out in 2014, and we've already did Iron Man and Guardians of the Galaxy and all that stuff. They knew about the Infinity Stone. So, which
Tesseract is maybe the technical term for an environment like that.
Hey, I'm not smart here. I'm pretty dumb.
But yeah, I mean, and I think it was, and maybe that goes in line with the explaining the black hole and explaining a wormhole,
sure,
and stuff like that, to where it's okay. We gotta dumb it down, or the theme's about love. Audience, the theme's about love.
Yeah,
I think it could have been done a little bit different, but I don't know. I don't think that was his main passion behind doing that project. I think it was more of he wanted to do a sci-fi space journey, which that's why I like it. I was like, ooh, like it's been so long when that movie came out of going to a different planet. That wasn't a Star Wars planet.
Right.
That wasn't
Tatooine.
Exactly. So, but I enjoy it. I mean, it's just, I can watch it right now and just be totally engrossed. And it's got my cocaine.
Cocaine in it.
So it's good movie.
I don't think Christopher Nolan's allowed to direct movies without Michael Caine in it.
But I like how he can make movies like that. I certainly appreciate it. So if he throws out a Tenet every 5 movies, that's fine.
Sure.
But as long as he's still allowed to do like movies like Interstellar and things that are just, I mean, I don't mind him missing, because when he misses, at least it's a very big spectacle and it's a big idea. And that's what I like. Because no one else is doing it. So
no, that's true. He doesn't have a lot of misses though. I don't think I wouldn't even classify Tenet as a miss. It's just it's the plot itself doesn't make sense, but it's really cool to look at, and the performances are really good. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And the ending, it's satisfying to me. But again,
and the acting's good. Like John David Washington, right?
Yes.
Okay. Phenomenal.
Oh, he's great. Kenneth Branagh, you would think that, is this guy Russian? If you didn't know who Kenneth Branagh was, my God.
I keep forgetting he is an awesome actor just because I see him more often than not in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
That's right.
And
you think he's
just a goofy was it Lockhart?
Yes.
But yeah. I mean, so but yeah, right. Interstellar.
Great pick. All right. My final movie is a classic, and I'm just going to say it, Roadhouse.
Okay.
Yes, I could watch it right now. And here's why I could watch it right now. You can't watch that movie as a serious movie because I think that's intentionally what they were trying to do to make it. They were trying to make Swayze like the next Stallone and Schwarzenegger because it came out in the 80s, and that was the thing. You had to do the one-man army spiel. That's what your movies had to be. But if you watch this movie and think that they made this movie intentionally as a comedy, it is by far one of the funniest movies ever made. It's so funny. I'm telling you, the lines in this movie are just so golden and just playing it back in my head right now.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison. Was that one of them?
That's one. You used to be a lot taller, or I thought you'd be a lot taller. And pain don't hurt. And
Pain don't hurt.
And just like oh my god, he's sitting on the, after he gets in the bar fight, of course, because he's the bouncer. He's sitting there and he's doing his own stitches, like in the office, and he's just having a casual conversation. Like that whole scene is hilarious to me. And then the fight at the end where he rips the guy's throat out, and it's the worst, like, choreographed nonsense. Like, if you go into it thinking, okay, they intended this to be funny, this is a comedy, and just have fun with it.
Do you think they meant it to be over the top?
No, I think they directed it thinking that
this is going to be a
hard-hitting action set piece that is going to make Swayze like the next Stallone, the next Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
We're going to have just raw action and just over-the-top villains, and it's just going to be, everyone's going to want to do like back roundhouse kicks to the face because they're just going to be in love with Swayze.
Didn't the climax take place at like a farm or something? Like he had to like Home Alone his situation or something and take one of the guys out at a time.
He did. Well, it's not a farmhouse. It's just a mansion kind of thing. But you're right.
Okay.
You're right. So yeah, the movie ends with Swayze, one-man army motif, entering a mansion with at least 18 guys. I think it's 18 guys. He takes them all out one by one.
Fucking bouncer for a bar has to do this.
I got to get the best bouncer out there. Give me Dalton. It's so absurd.
Like, of course, watching it as an adult, if you own the bar, like you'd have to make a shit ton of money to deal with that kind of crap. Like how many fines? And like you would think the town would just shut it down. But like, sorry, you lost your liquor license.
Yep.
To where, obviously it's a movie. It's not supposed to be real, but God, like the amount of crap that happens there, I'd be like, it's not worth it.
Yeah. And the bar is located in the middle of nowhere. And there's, if it sets it up like the only place in that town, the two places are the hardware store that the heroine's dad owns or uncle, I can't remember. And then the bar. And then there's nothing else. And then there's the rich guy who owns the county or something. It's like, what does he own?
No, the budget was only.
I know. But I'm telling you, you got to go watch it again through the comedic lens. It's so funny. It's so funny. And I could watch it right now and just enjoy it. It's fantastic.
Good.
I love it. You should watch it. If you haven't seen Roadhouse, it's amazing.
Yeah, I've only seen it once. It was because you were talking about it, and I was like, God, I never saw that. And I think, I was home alone one day, and I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a shot.
Yep.
And it is ridiculous.
It's stupid. I love it though.
So, all right. Well, that was our top 5s of favorite movies right now. And if you're still with us and you haven't smashed your head against the wall,
which is possible.
Yeah, that's
after you watch Roadhouse, you're gonna want to do that.
Yeah, Roadhouse. The Batman. The Batman stars Robert Pattinson as the Batman, and Bruce Wayne also stars Jeffrey Wright, Commissioner Gordon, and Colin Farrell as Penguin, Paul Dano as the Riddler, and Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman or Selena Kyle. I guess your thoughts.
Starting off, were you a big? Where does the Batman rank as? Did you read the comics?
I didn't. When I wasn't a big comic book reader. When I was younger,
neither was I.
I have comic books. I had comic books. I had, I think, a couple of Spider-Man books. I was
right. So
some of the main ones. I'm not that deep into the lore, but I'm aware of it.
Right.
And I know.
So your first exposure wasn't of the comic books per se. You're more driven through, the movies and.
Correct. My first exposure was '89 Batman.
Right.
And
which a majority of people, that's their first experience too.
Yep.
I would agree. That was mine too. And I think the Batman's my favorite superhero, hands down. And I think that grew from Batman the Animated Series, which I still enjoy. I actually got my son to sit down and watch because it's on HBO Max. You can stream all of that, and he likes it. And I'm thinking to myself, thank God, because if I do another Paw Patrol
The art style
rerun.
is
I'm gonna lose
fantastic.
it.
I mean, that show is very, very well done.
Yeah.
The stories, I look at that as similar to like Star Trek. So where
Yeah.
the stories are just solid.
Yeah.
But why? I mean, you said it was Batman's your favorite. Why? Like, is it because you watched the cartoon when you were a kid?
I think so.
Okay.
And it's because typical reason, you know, he's a dude. He's a
Mhm.
guy. He doesn't really have superpowers.
Sure.
And, you know, he's intimidating. And, you know, as a kid, you're like, oh, this guy's, you know, he's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And he's cool gadgets. And then I think Batman has the best villains. And that's what's interesting about it. I'd rather watch a Batman movie because the villains are so compelling.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good villains in other movies, but the villains in Batman are way more interesting to me than the villains in, say, like, I can't even name like the main villain in Superman, Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any other ones.
Sure.
Spider-Man is probably a close second.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, all the,
Yeah.
Then again, that spawns from, like you said, early 90s kid. And I would watch Spider-Man,
Mm-hmm.
which came on after, you know, Batman and all that other stuff. But Batman is just my favorite because the villains are more compelling, and I like the dark storytelling too. It's not all lighthearted and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I do like the fact that it's supposed to be a little bit darker and
Mhm.
edgier.
Yeah. And with that cartoon especially is it kind of presents it similar to, it has that same kind of tone of like an adult driven drama.
Yep.
That was popular in the 90s. And but not to talk about the cartoon, but
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, it's just a solid production all around.
Yeah. But I'm like you. I didn't read the comic books really.
Mhm.
I wasn't a comic book kid. I was more, I didn't have my own money, so I can't go out and buy comics whenever I want to. You know, I grew up, you know, low middle class,
Mhm.
you know.
Help me, I'm poor.
I know, help me. I was by no means poor, but I didn't have money to spend, you know, $10 at the comic book shop.
Yeah.
So
And we didn't live in an area that you could just walk
that's right.
to some, well, I mean, I guess you were at the grocery store.
I could walk to the grocery store and rent a 49
and they had
cent
like
movie.
a little rack or
Yeah.
something, but
I had enough in my pocket to rent a 49-cent movie. I could do that.
Yep.
But yeah.
I guess, what did you think compared to, start off, how do you think it ranked with the other Batman movies?
I'd have to watch it again, you know, because it's hard. And again, it's not really fresh in my mind because it's been 2 weeks since I've seen it. But when I walked out, I would say it's probably right behind The Dark Knight and Batman Begins as probably my third favorite one. But that could change. I haven't seen The Dark Knight Rises in a long time. I remember liking that a lot. But I did, and again, I haven't seen Batman 89 in a while. I could like that one more. It's been a while. I grew up on that one. I don't know, but I do appreciate the fact that they went on the detective route. I like that a lot. I think Matt Reeves is very talented. Yeah, I'm a fan of his. I like the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is one of the better, you know, action movies in the past decade, and I think Let Me In is fantastic. Even Cloverfield is just it's fun. It's a fun movie to watch. But he definitely stuck with the detective story, which I appreciate. I liked Robert Pattinson. That's always the thing that fans always worry about is the guy who plays the Batman going to be any good? And I feel like they've hit home runs lately. Christian Bale is obviously great, and I even like Ben Affleck. I thought he was a great Batman. I would have liked to seen like the older Batman storyline. That would have been cool. And you know, he's just a hulking dude, and I thought he did a great job. So, with the story being centered around the second year of Batman, I thought Robert Pattinson was casted really well. I thought he did a great job. And I mentioned this to you before. The thing that I noticed immediately that they fixed was the Batman voice.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stand Christian Bale's Batman voice. Every time he talks, it kind of takes me
Swear
out.
to me.
Yeah.
Where were the other jokes going?
It's like, please stop. Stop talking. And they fixed that a little bit in Batman v Superman, where he had that sort of electronic
modulator.
Yeah, the modulator, which kind of okay. But Pattinson didn't have any of that stuff. He just had his normal speaking voice, and it were great. Good storyline. I thought Paul Dano was amazing. He was a great actor. Jeffrey Wright did a great job as Gordon. I like the fact that they teamed up to kind of help solve each other the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, little nerdy things here and there that I didn't really. I was like, what? When he's. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but he ends up trying to solve.
It's 2 weeks past. Okay. We can spoil it.
Well, as he's searching for clues, there's always like a happenstance character that's there, like helping him along. Like one thing that comes to mind is when he's trying to figure out what's the Riddler's next step. and he's in
the carpet tool.
He's in the carpet tool,
Yeah.
and the officer there just happens to have an uncle who owns like a carpet installation business.
Yeah.
He's like, my uncle uses that tool to install carpets or whatever.
Yeah, ex machina, just like this. What are the odds? Kind of a thing.
Exactly. But I get it. It's a movie. They're trying to move the plot along, but again, it's very nitpicky. The one thing I didn't like was, so let's talk about the negatives and then we'll do the positives.
Negatives in the positive. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't like the fact that Bruce Wayne's in it for maybe 5 seconds,
Mhm.
and the fact that he's brooding and dark and mysterious as Bruce Wayne, and he's brooding and dark and mysterious as the Batman. And people can argue, oh, it's because his parents just died. It's like, no, his parents didn't just die.
Yeah.
He's been the Batman now for 2 years, and
His parents died like
when he was a kid,
10 years ago or
Right.
something. Because I think it was supposed to. I think they said it was like 10 years ago his parents died.
Yeah.
So he was 22.
Yes.
I think, and or supposed to be 22, and
Yeah.
then he was. I could be remembering that wrong.
Right. And I just thought that was just a bad decision, because you're supposed to, and that's a running theme in that, where you want to know the identity of the Batman, and that's always going to be a hurdle that he's going to have to avoid if you don't want. And again, it's a plot line in the movie where, someone he loves is in danger of being killed because they know who the Batman is.
Mhm.
And you can't do that with Bruce Wayne's character. I'm sorry. It's clear that this guy has some fishy going on. He's a reclusive kid, and when he is out, he's all depressing and brooding, and it didn't fit well with me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't like I just blanked. Go ahead while I think of it.
Well, I mean, my first impressions of the movie, I remember when, because we watched it together.
Yeah.
And the narration happened, and
Yeah.
he was walking in the
Mhm.
rain, slow motion. I got very strong Watchmen vibes watching
Oh,
it.
for sure. I was thinking of Rorschach.
Yeah, I was thinking of Rorschach. I like that noir feel.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the journal entry. I liked, so I liked the tone. I liked that sweet runtime, and I thought.
By the way, it's almost a little over 3 hours, close to it.
Yeah.
It's very long.
And which I will say didn't feel like a 3-hour movie.
It didn't, no.
Felt like a 2.5-hour
Sure.
movie. So the pacing was good. I thought the acting was good. Also along the lines of first impressions. I like the mystery format, and I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Now, my love for this movie will either grow or diminish completely based on the next movie,
Mm-hmm.
which I can get into. But what was the other item you were going to bring up? Did you remember it?
Oh yeah, the scene and so back on the identity of Batman and Bruce Wayne being separated,
Mhm.
and so they can't figure out who this guy is. The scene in the jail where the Batman, again, spoiler alert, I think the DA has a bomb strapped to himself,
Mm-hmm.
and the Riddler is communicating with the Batman or whatever. Or actually, he's Bruce Wayne. No, he's Batman.
Mhm.
Sorry, so I keep forgetting that he changed into Batman as he's at the funeral, and there's clearly a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
And again, he's supposed to be the world's greatest detective, and he doesn't avoid it at all. He gets
Mhm.
blown up, right? He gets concussed. Then he goes to the police station where he's surrounded by police officers, and not one police officer decides, let's take off this mask and see who this guy is. This vigilante that we've been
Mm-hmm.
tracking for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And I just wish that that's a
whole
glaring
scene
plot hole. I wish
yeah.
that didn't even happen. I
because
wish he
there'd be
would've-
too many people wanting to unmask him.
Yes.
Yep.
There's
So-
it's literally him in a cage, and there's 30 officers
Yeah.
that are surrounding him, and only Commissioner Gordon.
and everyone's being very well behaved.
Exactly.
Because police are always well behaved.
Exactly. We all know that in the past couple of years.
I get what you're saying. So you wish they would have dealt with that slightly differently.
Not
to
even
where-
have it in the movie.
Yeah, just take it out.
Just take it out. I mean, there was a timer on the bomb.
hmm
Just say, I'm sorry, and run away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't need to do that. And
Yeah, I mean, he didn't need. I don't know if that scene existed just because to have him jump off a high building in his little
It
glider
could've.
thing. I feel like they could have just easily put that somewhere else.
yeah.
But if it was, oh well, he got a bomb blew up right in front of his face. Of course he's going to be knocked out. Let's keep it kind of grounded.
Yeah.
Great. Well, how about when he dives off the building, in the next scene he doesn't
Falls into a
smash
bridge.
his skull against the fucking bridge and
Walks
like
up
just
the
walk
spine.
away. Like, Jesus, like how's that guy not vomiting in the alley right now? But the no,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So for me, that some of the issues I felt, him solving the riddles.
Mhm.
Again, I'm an idiot. I'm the dumbest motherfucker alive, but I felt like he got those riddles really, really easily.
He did.
And it was like they said it, and he's like, oh, blah blah blah.
Thumb drive.
Yeah, thumb drive.
Thumb drive.
To where I feel like I like the idea they wanted to go with the mystery. I was expecting, before going into the movie, I thought it was going to be kind of similar to Zodiac, like a 7,
Sure.
and have that kind of like you're solving it along.
Yeah.
And I felt some of that tone there. I didn't feel like it was executed all that well. And I don't know. As a mystery, it was fine.
Mhm.
There was no like aha moment or, oh, we got him, it's this person kind of a thing, because they never run into the guy.
Yeah.
You never have that scene to where they interacted like in
7, where they run into John Doe, him and Morgan Freeman, they chase him in the alleyway.
or Zodiac, both
Or
David
Zodiac.
Fincher movies, to where they talk with John Carroll Lynch,
Yeah.
his
Yep.
character. And so they didn't have a list of suspects they were interviewing or
That's
anything
right.
like that. It was like the Penguin and John Turturro.
Yep.
And that was it. So I felt like that could have been done a little bit better as far as
Mhm.
the mystery. But one thing, not one thing, overall, and when I mentioned it's going to be dependent on the second movie, I didn't like the music.
Oh, okay.
I thought the music,
Not a fan of Michael Giacchino?
I am. I loved his incredible score. He did Up. He's done some. I know he
yeah.
can do music, and I went because I saw his name pop up in the credits, and I was like, I know he's done a lot of stuff that I like. I think he did the new Spider-Man movies. He's very capable.
Didn't he do Inside Out?
I think so. Yeah, he's
That's
done
a
a
great
lot of
one.
Pixar stuff. So he's very capable and he's very talented. But that music was horrible.
What didn't you like about it?
I didn't like because it was so simple. It was like he
It's like
phoned
one
it
or two
in.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one or two notes from a Nirvana song.
Yeah.
It was just the beginning, for Something in the Way, and which I thought that song fit
He did.
in the movie.
Great trailer song.
Yeah. And but then that's his theme. So, and I'm going to be kind of going on a tangent here. So the music I wasn't a fan of. I'm a fan of his music.
Mhm.
I don't think he did a good job. I looked on his IMDb. He had like 4 projects like that
Working
year.
on simultaneously.
So I don't know if he was just drained or it was planned.
Yeah.
The presence of Robert Pattinson as Batman, I felt like wasn't there. I felt like it was a normal asshole in a costume. Like some douchebag was going to get his ass kicked in the subway. Like he didn't feel intimidating. Again, that could have been deliberate. Same with the music.
Yep.
His fighting, like the action scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't think the
Subpar.
action scenes. Yeah, I thought they were fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. I wasn't getting amped.
Yeah.
Like
the fight scene in Batman v Superman where he comes to try to save Superman's mom, Martha,
yeah,
and he annihilates.
No,
It's just
yeah, it's
so
just
brutal. It's
throwing
fantastic.
a beat down.
Yeah.
Again, it's the second year that could be planned. So
Yeah. That's true.
my thing is, my enjoyment of this movie will increase or decrease based on the second one, because the second one, if it's year 5, and because Robert Pattinson is signed up for a trilogy,
Right.
if in the second movie they have that same tone, but they build a little bit more to the arrangement,
Mm-hmm.
they make his appearance as Batman a little bit more, not mythical, but a little bit larger. I mean, the angles they were shooting him, they weren't low angle shots. They weren't meant to make him feel powerful. It was just very eye level. If they shoot him slightly more low angle, if the action scenes are a little bit more in depth, and then the third movie, you add a little bit more to the arrangement of the song. So then you have the full Batman theme. The whole, everything is growing with the character.
Right.
So you have, and even Robert Pattinson being a gloomy Batman, this fits into that too, to where he's not the playboy. He doesn't realize I need to be Bruce Wayne.
Right.
To where he eventually develops that. So that way, by the end of the third movie, at that climax, he is
a fully developed
Batman.
Yeah.
He is the badass. It is the action scenes that gets you amped and like, oh Jesus, he's ripping people. He's
evolving.
Yeah. And you have that music. You have the better choreography. When they show him on camera, he's a larger than life person that's intimidating.
Yeah.
And he's just fully flushed out as a character. So maybe they're doing it similar like they did the Spider-Man movies, to where they took 3 movies for an origin. I'm hoping that's their plan.
Right.
With this trilogy, is that they're going to develop them into that mythic figure. And if that's the plan, kudos. And if they're going to be building on all those elements, great. If not, and they don't build on the score, the music for this one I thought sucked. If they don't build on the action scenes I thought for this movie sucked. So if they build onto that into the service of the story, great. If they don't, I think it's mediocre.
Yeah, no, those are all good points. And I like that idea of building into a fully formed Batman. And it would help all the shortcomings that I just talked about. I agree with you. Do I think they're going to do that? I don't know. I hope what they don't do, because spoiler alert, there's another scene where they try to introduce another villain, which I'm sure that's a studio note. I get it. You have to put the Joker in there. Yeah. But I hope they center it on Batman's evolution, like you just said, instead of you're now the focus is going to be on the Joker in the second one.
Yeah. And we've seen the Joker so many fucking times. Like,
I agree.
But I think if they plan on doing that, of course, if the past is any indicator, Warner Brothers doesn't really think that far ahead. Or if they do, they're going to cut their losses and run if the second movie doesn't work out.
Well, they're going to make a second one because it's doing phenomenally well.
Yeah. And they're already making streaming shows. I think they're coming out with a Penguin thing.
Why?
Because they got HBO Max.
Because money.
Yeah. Money. Subscribers.
Because money and subscribers, right.
Content.
Yes.
Content.
I need more content. More options. Jesus. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The other direction, I think, and we talked about this a couple nights ago.
Yes.
They can do
anthology thing.
Anthology. Yeah. To where you can have your multiverse Justice League Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You can have that be the same character, and you can kind of do your offshoot stories for the DC universe. But for the Batman movies, they are just journal entries. This one happens to take place 2 years, and you can keep Robert Pattinson if it's a year 5 Batman, or you can hire somebody else.
Yeah.
And it would just be a different, because I liked how it took place within a week.
Yeah.
It wasn't some big, I mean, of course you had to have the big set piece at the end.
Sure.
But I liked it was within a week. It was kind of more or less a self-contained thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a big beam shooting down from the sky, or Mr. Freeze like freezing everybody in a thing of ice. But you could have your anthology to where here's just a standalone detective story where he had to deal with this.
Yeah.
Here's a standalone. And they could kind of do one-offs like that. And they could have those movies come out at the same time. Other Batman movies are coming out because the audience, I think, is smart enough at this time
to disconnect between the two.
Disconnect the two.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see that. Just do standalone detective stories,
because they could turn it into a James Bondish kind of a thing, to where standalone things. And
on a positive of the movie, though, I will say I thought that they did a good job with the overall mystery itself. It was pretty well done, especially that first shot of the Riddler with the light. Like, it's very creepy, very Seven vibes going on, and just the way the Riddler interacted in the storyline itself was great. And then the final scene with the Riddler that I wish they didn't do, like, they make you think that the Riddler knows that it's Bruce Wayne. And I was like, thank you. Someone smart. This guy's been, the police have gone through hoops trying to figure out who this guy is. And like, yes, he knows who Batman is because he's smart. And they didn't follow through.
Yeah.
It's just, we didn't get Bruce Wayne. It's like, oh, come on, guys. This Riddler guy has been outsmarting everyone the whole movie, and he doesn't know that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Didn't put the two together. It's like, that's a hurdle that they definitely missed, I thought. And you could use that against him. If you're a villain, you know who Bruce Wayne is. Make that like Collateral.
Yeah. Then you have that tension, which I think is something that was missing from this film too. Is like, I didn't feel the urgency or the suspense.
Yeah. I do think that they close the loop pretty good though on his character arc when he's like, I'm vengeance. Because I think they say I'm the Batman like maybe twice in the whole movie. He's kind of known as Vengeance.
Yeah, I don't even know if they say Batman in the movie.
Maybe the Catwoman does. I can't remember. They don't say it all that much.
Yeah.
They say Vengeance. He says, I'm Vengeance.
Yeah. Yeah. He doesn't say I'm Batman.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's definitely just angry the whole time.
Mhm.
He's very angry, very brooding. And they close the loop at the end because he understands that, the way that I'm doing this, and even he mentions it in the journal entry, I don't even know if what I'm doing is having any impact on crime here. I have no idea. I could be helping. I could be making it worse.
Mhm.
And then he finally has that light bulb go off when one of the guys says, I'm Vengeance.
Yeah. He's instigating what he's trying to stop.
Exactly. And I thought they closed that loop pretty well. Helping the people through the light I'm like, okay, so we're going to a flooded area to another flooded area. I wish they would have set that up a little bit. Like I didn't think those people were in danger. You're just helping anyway.
Yeah.
Nitpicky, nerdy stuff, but they closed that loop pretty well. I agree with you. I think now that I'm talking about it, and this is why I like these conversations, I think this is like my 5th favorite the Batman.
Yeah.
It's behind Batman 89 now. It's behind the Nolan trilogy and Batman 89. But you're right. If they go through with the anthology route, or they, this is year 2, and then we'll have year 5. He gets more intimidating. He evolves Bruce Wayne a little bit into the character, understanding that I have to play this up or I'm going to get very suspicious from the outside influences. Will they do that? I don't know. Hopefully Matt Reeves comes back, because I thought he did a good job directing it. He was consistent in his tone. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he'll come back. I mean, I heard, who knows? The rumor mill is that production wasn't the best between Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves.
Really?
That could be horseshit. It could be some semblance of truth. It could just be because they had to follow COVID protocols.
Yeah.
And it could
And
just
everyone
be
was
everyone
annoyed.
frustrated
Sure.
over it. I hope he comes back. I like the idea of he's a good director with a vision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he understands what tone he wants. So I hope they keep him. I hope he comes back to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson coming back. I mean, I thought he did a fine job. If he doesn't come back in the next one, it's not going to kill it for me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's the tone.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Colin Farrell was great.
Yeah. Oh, I thought
he was
everyone
great.
acted in it very, very well.
Turturro was great.
Yep. The only thing, the chemistry between Selena Kyle and Catwoman and Batman.
Yeah.
I didn't buy.
Yeah.
I think she did a good job.
What didn't you buy? Was it just
It was the way she walked. No,
my hips hurt.
My hips hurt whenever I watch her walk. I was like, why is she walking that way?
God, her
Gonna
hips
get
are like
arthritis.
her hips are at a 90-degree angle. How did that happen?
But I don't know. I just didn't buy that connection. I felt like, they got to have some kind of sexual tension there because there's always sexual tension between Batman and Catwoman. I just didn't, it wasn't believable for me. I don't feel, and I don't know if that's because Robert Pattinson was too gloomy to where he didn't have that human desire part of him show that much.
Yeah.
I think she did. She felt like a very well-rounded character. You understand why she was doing stuff. You understood her motivations, which same thing of why she's doing stuff, but she knew what she wanted. Yeah. And she was shown to be vulnerable. She was shown to be strong. I didn't get that sense from Batman. Yeah. I felt like, I'm here.
What's his motivation for doing this?
Yeah, obviously his parents are sure. But it's, I don't know.
I think they're trying to. I
didn't feel maybe that's what it was, as to where I wasn't getting that human sense from Robert Pattinson. I was definitely getting it from Zoe Kravitz, and I thought she did great. I mean, everyone acted very, very well in it. Yeah. But yeah, just their chemistry, and this probably may have been Robert Pattinson's fault. Yeah.
Maybe I agree. I don't think the motivation for why he's doing it. You're right. He's just mad because his parents got murdered. Okay. Is that it? I think they tried to fill that gap with that scene with Alfred, when Alfred almost dies, and you see a little twinge of humanity there where he doesn't want him obviously to die. He loves him. But even that scene wasn't enough. They should have had some more scenes where, you got to understand what you're doing here and your actions, and what is your motivation for doing it. It can't just be that, you're an angry guy and you're out there kicking. You yourself in your journal is saying, I don't even know if I'm doing is helping or hurting.
Yeah.
If you don't
why
know,
are you doing
then
it?
why are you doing it?
Yeah. So, I mean, even if it was as simple as I just want to punish people.
That would, he just went out and said it.
Yeah. He's like, I just want to hurt somebody.
I just want to hurt somebody.
Because I mean, that would just show like a human, like,
right.
I mean, we know he's angry.
Yeah.
We know he's depressed. Probably because of his house, the interior of his house. I'm like, who the fuck would live in that?
It's very gloomy.
Like, if that was his childhood home, how many spikes were in that house?
A lot of spikes.
Can't even, like, my kids are trying to kill themselves on the flattest, most softest things all the time. Like, you have these javelins of goth architecture in your house. I'm like, God. I was like,
there's a lot of right angles in this place.
This is nitpicky, but
yeah.
Can we stop with the people when they're trying to figure out something? He pushes I'm going to push the table out of the way. I need the floor space for this.
I'm going to do this shirtless, by the way.
A good thing I got this camera above me to let me see the whole picture of everything I'm doing instead of, putting stuff on a wall.
On a wall, yeah.
Like, I get the wall thing because you can stand back and you just kind of look at it.
Yeah.
But the whole floor thing and like right in the got to write the I'm the like Jesus.
Yeah, you're right. It's a little nerdy.
I mean, that's a little. I mean, they do it for the shot,
sure,
for the visual, but no. I mean, I think just having a little bit more of human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like there was a sense of. I think the most human he looked was, or I felt coming from him was when he injected himself with that adrenaline,
the Bane juice.
The Bane juice, and he just like started punching somebody in the face really hard. And I'm like, okay, your anger got the best of you.
Yeah.
Like, but other than that, like, I don't feel like there was and not to compare it to other movies, like there's no sense of like, at least Spider-Man Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene that they took from the comic book when Spider-Man was pinned down by the building and he was crying out for help. And in that scene, you realized, he's
vulnerable.
He's a kid.
Yeah, he's a kid.
But he overcomes it.
Right.
It doesn't mean he's invincible, but he is vulnerable. And I think maybe that's what
it was missing.
Yeah, where there wasn't anything that was vulnerable about it.
Well, to all the scenes that we were just talking about, he goes into a police station and no one.
Yeah.
No. Right, and then he gets a bomb exploded in his face. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He falls off a building with this like paraglider thing, slams into the side of a bridge. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this guy can get a multiple machine gun fire, just hits his chest, bounces off of him. No big deal.
Yeah. I slid down 2 stairs in my house because I was wearing socks and I was just kind of going down, and I slid down and I felt like I couldn't move afterwards, but he gets his face smashed in by a train rail. And
yes,
perfectly fine.
He's fine.
Like,
well, in this defense, he's young.
Yeah,
he's a spry guy.
I was young too. I mean, I used to skateboard. I'd fall, I'd bounce up pretty well, but God,
yeah.
But I mean, even not physically vulnerable, but emotionally or something.
Yeah.
And I feel like that wasn't done too terribly well.
Right. But I agree. Do you think that there even needs to be? I know it's part of the comic books, but for that movie in particular, I don't know why there needed to be like a romantic link between Catwoman and the Batman.
No, and maybe that was it too. Like I didn't feel like it was warranted.
Why do you need it?
Yeah,
like you said, her motivation for what she's doing is clearly outlined.
Mm-hmm.
Why she's doing it. I don't think she would be thinking about having a romantic relationship with anybody.
Yeah, because I feel like her character was more goal oriented.
Yeah,
as far as getting what her friend was missing.
Right,
and then her friend was dead.
Right,
and then she wanted to.
Right,
so.
I get it though.
I mean, you always have to have. I don't know. I don't think it fit.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't earned. Are
we just shitting on the Batman?
I think so.
At this point.
Yeah.
You know what though? I think it was a good movie that you should take the time to watch. I thought it was. Very good.
I'm glad I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, me too. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
You'll be entertained.
Yep. It's very well paced. The acting is awesome. The Gotham exteriors. Now the Gotham City, I thought was really good.
It was done well.
I got London vibes. I think some of it was shot in England.
I don't know.
But it felt like there's parts of it I was like, oh, that looks like Chicago. Yep. That kind of looks like London. That kind of it was a nice mix. And so I don't know what they did for all their exteriors. But I liked the way they presented Gotham.
Yeah.
And
it was obviously shot in Seattle because it rained.
Yeah, it rains all the time and gray days everywhere, which maybe it was England. But I thought the exteriors were great. I think they did a nice job presenting the city.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought it was worth watching.
Yeah.
Is it again, if they build on it the way I think that they might be building on it, I think it'd be fantastic because you just never had that really long proper storytelling before to where you just kind of build on everything.
Would you rather have it go the anthology route or build on the evolution of Batman or both?
I want to see them build on the evolution of Batman.
Yeah.
Because I want that final payoff.
Yeah.
Just the crescendo of him.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that. But yeah, I think I'd like to see this crescendo.
Yeah.
Anthology, I think would be cool. That you could do anytime.
Yeah. It's true.
But with the narrative structure they chose, I think that would lend itself to an anthology thing. But I think they're going to do a typical trilogy and then start again. Like they usually do.
But you know, my opinion could change if I see it again.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. If it's going to depend on the subsequent films and where they go, and go see the Batman.
Yeah,
support your local theater chain.
Yep, which is owned by AMC or
4
Regal
companies.
Or
your local theater company. Jesus.
So cool. Well, anything else on the Batman?
No, I think we talked about it enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about the rest of the movies in history on the next episode.
Yes, all of them.
All right.
All right, Jay.
See you later, Matt.
See you later.
Till next time.
Yep.